Let's look ahead to Sunday in the NBA. We're going to try and see how we can win our matchup in Week 12 by streaming in, guys, injury updates, all that stuff. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I really miss the McDLT. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical and the Jace Case. Where's the thing for that? I can't see it. There it is. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. Use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order at jasemedical.com. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. Become a double banger. Audio, video, do both. But more importantly, when you're over on the video side, you subscribe. You hit the thumbs up. You ring the bell, and you leave your comments down below. We're here to talk about the action on Sunday in the NBA. There are 5 games on. A early morning reminder. There is a game on at 2:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. The Pacers Nuggets play 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Early games, 7:30 a.m. for those of us here in Melbourne as well. So get your lineups set early. Make sure you're ready to go for the final day. There are 5 games on, and we are going to try and get in here and win our week. That is how we like to do it. Let's have a quick look at some injuries and what we know at the moment. Of course, this stuff is always subject to change, so check out the Basketball Monster news page as well to see what's happening and who's in and who's out. Just actually got an injury pop up on the report now, which wasn't there before. We'll talk about that one now. That's Anthony Edwards has popped up as questionable with a knee issue. We've seen him play not at his best the last couple of games. He had to leave one of those games in the locker room and then came back. So just watch that one with Edwards and the knee. He's had the hip issue early in the season, now a knee problem. If he is out, you can consider a guy like Alexander Walker, but he does become pretty hit or miss. Halliburton's going to be out. Mark Williams is out. Gordon Hayward is out. Jay Crowder is out. Jimmy Butler, I guessed that he would be doubtful. He is doubtful. The expectation here is for Butler that he plays on Monday. They've got a pretty packed schedule coming up, so he might not even play on Monday because they've got like a 5 and 8 coming up starting on Sunday, I believe it is. So just watch that for Butler, but he is doubtful for Sunday's game. General Soreness, thank you for your lack of service. Cody Martin is officially questionable for the Hornets, so we got that news come through. They're still not particularly exciting in terms of great updates. Brandon Miller is doubtful. PJ Washington is doubtful. I don't think you need to be rostering either PJ or Brandon. Shout out to PJ continuing to being listed doubtful as well. We've got the new Mark Williams in town. Tyler Hero is officially questionable after missing the last game for the Heat. Drew Eubanks, Fanapants, Kevin Huerter. I'm listing them questionable for the moment. Huerter's got an ankle sprain. I wouldn't be shocked if he misses. Eubanks is an illness, so he should be all right to go. DeAndre Ayton was on that. There was that long road trip. He stayed home with the Blazers. Then he joined up with them. Never played. Don't know why he came. But their next game is back at home, so maybe he's ready to go, but we don't have an official update. I think he's got to be getting close, but we just don't know yet. Shaedon Sharpe missed their last game with that groin injury. Left the one earlier. Well, left the game before that early. Missed the next one. Is it an aggravation of an earlier injury? Is it a re-injury? I'm not sure. I'd probably lean him a little closer to doubtful. Groin injury is the second one for the season. You've got to be really cautious with that. Ibu Baji left the last game with an injury as well. Their center stocks are down to Dwop Reith and Jabari Walker. If Ayton plays, that obviously changes that. If he doesn't, then Jabari and Reith become very, very interesting. While Kyle Lowry missed the last game, and he is now probable. So just another interesting name to add into that mix of how all those minutes get distributed, because, of course, it's been a complete shit show, basically, for the entirety of the season. There are 2 teams playing the Sunday-Monday back-to-back. It is the Heat, as I said, and it is the Pacers. Both of these teams are embarking on a heavy portion of their schedule, which is great if you're streaming in Pacers players, because we know that Halliburton's out. it's bad if you've got Halliburton because you're missing a big chunk of games, but the value of the guys replacing him is up because they've got a really big schedule here. Monday is 11 games on MLK Day, so just be aware you may not even have streaming ability on that day. So just be cautious. Look at your roster. If you're going to prioritize a pacer or a heat guy for the back-to-back only, you might not play them on Monday. But in saying that, again, these teams do have like a 5-8 coming up, and that gives them that extra bunch of games, which can make a little bit of sense when you're prioritizing someone on Sunday, knowing you're going to get some extra games through the rest of the week. Let's look at points leagues. Who are we looking at here for Yahoo points? Nick Richards pops up near the top of this list. Jaden McDaniels, Sticks, Jalen Smith, Andrew Nembhard, Duncan Robinson, and Caleb Martin. I'm using 45% rostered as the cutoff here. Let me just quickly throw this out here now. If TJ McConnell, who is 55% rostered, is available in your league, he is the ad for everything. Just add him. I don't know what we're waiting on here. 45% available TJ McConnell is on Yahoo. There is not 45% of leagues that are inactive, but there is a good chunk of them that don't know what they're doing, apparently. TJ McConnell is a must-roster player. But he just doesn't fall through my cutoff situation here. I'm going to guess, and again, if we use Basketball Monsters' advanced roster percentage metric, he's sitting, I think, 100%. So, most people who are deep and involved in fantasy and getting excited about what's going on in the fantasy community are all about TJ McConnell, but he's obviously still sitting around in 45% of leagues. I'm just going to double check that number there on TJ. Yeah, he's at 98% advanced roster. So, like, everyone's got him in those leagues that we track there, but still available 45%. So just check that out. So the points leagues guys, again, we've got Nick Richards, Jaden McDaniels, Jalen Smith, Andrew Nembhard, Duncan Robinson, and Caleb Martin. The Robinson and Martin ones in particular will really skyrocket if Tyler Hero is out. Robinson is an awesome stream in that situation. He's pretty good as it is, but if Hero is out, he's going to really shoot through the roof. And Martin gets an extra bit of a bump there as well if Tyler is silent. But remember, it won't be exactly the same as the last game because Lowry didn't play in that last one, and Kyle is going to double cheek his way back into the lineup on Sunday. I wonder if Lowry will sit on Monday, though that is possible there too. ESPN points, slightly different. I got Jaden McDaniels at the top of the list, followed by Nick Richards, Duncan Robinson, Nembhard, Isaiah Jackson, who went absolutely bananas last game. And as long as they start Jalen Smith at power forward, the value for Isaiah Jackson is up. He can get 15, 16 minutes as a backup center. And what did he have last game? 4 steals, 4 blocks. In an ESPN points league, they're worth 4 points each instead of 3 points on Yahoo. So a little bit of a boost there. And I've got Sticks on that list as well. So Jaden McDaniels, Nicky Richards, Dunk Robinson, Andy Nembhard, Isaiah Jackson, and Jalen Smith as some good ESPN Points League streams for Sunday. But of course, check who is actually available in your league. Number 1 is TJ McConnell. Go and add him if for some reason he still sits available. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical and the Jace Case. You wouldn't want to be in a situation where you're feeling helpless and you need medication for someone in your family, your partner, your wife, your husband, your kids, whoever it is, and you go down to a pharmacy, which might be a trek from you. You might live isolated. You might be living a bushman's life out in a cabin. You get there, oh, sorry, it's out of stock. We won't have it for 2 months. You go, I need it. I need this antibiotics for my kids. Yeah, they're really sick at the moment. They're you can't get out of bed, and you need it. Well, that's where the Jace Case comes in. You can have these antibiotics, 5 different antibiotics at home, which can help treat a long list of bacterial infections, UTIs, URTIs, sinusitis, skin infections, STIs, all sorts of infections with bacteria these antibiotics can go and treat. You go to jacemedical.com, you do your physician encounter, a board-certified physician looks over everything that you've said in there. They go through, approve it, discuss it, all that sort of stuff, and then your medication gets dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today, so go to jacemedical.com, use the code LOCKEDON, and get $20 off your order. Okay, so that is the Points League streaming options. Let's do some Category League stream options here. For points, the points category, I am looking at Duncan Robinson, and he will actually jump way higher than this if Tyler Hero is out. Jaden McDaniels, Storm and Norman Powell. Remember, the Clippers have a 2-game week in Week 13, but it starts off well with a Sunday and Tuesday combination. So streaming Powell for the Sunday, missing the 11-game Monday, using him again on Tuesday with 3 games on is pretty valuable. Don't be dissuaded or brainwashed by big 2-game schedule that tells you the 2-game schedule is always terrible, because it isn't. Jalen Smith, good points guy. Reggie Jackson, 20 minutes in each of the last 2 games, I believe, and Aaron Nesmith. The Pacers guys are always risky because Carlisle can play him 23, can play him 29. It's a little all over the shop, but there are numerous options that we can stream in. And again, this is a really good part of the schedule for the Pacers with just a lot of games in. So some of the minutes vagaries that Carlisle can throw in there can be offset a little bit, because if you play 3 games and you get 21, 27 minutes, it's like, that's a pain. But if there's like a 5-game period, which there is 5 in 8 for the Pacers here, like that tends to even out. You might get 22, 23, 28, 28, 28, and that helps out, right? And it helps to even that out for your Healds, Matherins, Nemhards, Nesmiths, Jalen Smiths, Isaiah Jacksons. It should balance out with the volume of schedule you get in there. Hope that makes sense. For 3-pointers, well, you know who we're going to. It's the man that's on the thumbnail of this video as well. It is the big fella, Duncan Robinson, who can easily hit... Duncan Robinson hit 34% of his threes last season. Duncan Robinson, one of the best 3-point shooters of recent memory. Isn't he the fastest guy to ever hit 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 threes or something like that? Yeah, he shot a bullet, but he's back. And he's also added new things, like assists. He's doing that this season too. He's an interesting player. Leaky Beasley. The Bucks have a dreadful schedule next week. We talked about this on the preview show, but after having a great schedule this week, they play on Wednesday, and they don't play again until Saturday, and Wednesday has 10 games. So it's great to stream in Leaky for Sunday, but after that, it's an absolute huge drop. Eric Gordon, Norman Powell, always going to be good 3-point streamers for Sunday. I'll throw Trey Lyles in here. He's getting some minutes. He plays better than Harrison Barnes quite a bit. And despite having a 2-game week, the Kings have got an unbelievable schedule. They've got the best schedule over the next 5 days. And that leans into, don't be dissuaded that a 2-game week is terrible. Trey Lyles has got value here. Aaron Nesmith also worth a look for 3-pointers. He's hitting about 46% of his threes this season. You know at some point it's going to cool off. We just don't know when it will be. In terms of rebounds, I was going to call him Richards because Nick Richards has been on this list all season. Nick Richards is a really good rebound stream option. Kevin Love saw his production decrease in the last game, but I'm still looking at him as a streamer. Sticks is there. Trey Lyles is there. Jabari Walker. He played 30-plus minutes last game. And if DeAndre Ayton is out and Ibu Baji is out, it's him and it is Dwop Reith. That is it. And Walker's a pretty interesting player whose value could really jump up in a number of different areas if Ayton is sidelined again on Sunday. And then the other one there is Isaiah Jackson, who just turned in a huge, huge performance last time out, as we are well aware. Assists, it's pretty rough. Like, I'll be honest with you, there's not much there. That is why, like, TJ McConnell, add him. The next one is Andrew Nembhard. Now, you may not have been excited by Andrew Nembhard's performance. Absolutely rightfully so. They have not been good. And I don't think he's a very good player. Personally, I think he's totally reasonably fine as a backup-ish, fill-in occasional starter, right? That's how I view Nembhard moving forward. Like, he's pretty good defensively. He's got some issues. But the last 2 games, he shot really poorly, but I've been happy enough with the minutes. The schedule favors him. He gets pretty solid assists and pretty okay steals. And that's just impossible to get. If I have to rely upon Ish Smith to get steals or to get assists in my league to win on Sunday, well then, Nembhard looks like bloody prime Tyrese Halliburton. Someone said to me in one of the comments, I don't know who this was, shout out, I'm not having a go at you, but he said, look, because TJ McConnell was able to put up so many assists, does that just prove the point that Halliburton's not that good and he's only a system player? Right? The answer is no, number one. But secondly, then why is Andrew Nembhard not doing it? Because Nembhard's the guy starting, playing alongside Nesmith and Sticks and Bruce Brown and Miles Turner the same way that Tyrese does, and he doesn't do anything remotely similar to what Halliburton does. So, no, Tyrese Halliburton does not. Yeah, he's not a guy that is only propped up because of a system. He's the one who creates the system. And you also have to remember that TJ McConnell is one of the best per minute assist producers, irrespective of who's playing in front of him. He's always been that guy. So it's just not coincidental, but the fact that he's there and he's able to do it is because, that's what TJ McConnell does. Anyway, Nembhard, assists. Not many other options, because then we go down to a 20-minute of Reggie Jackson, who might be 3 assists. This is where we get to this. Like Duncan Robinson, I know. You go, does this man ever pass? Yeah, he does. His assist rates actually, they're not huge. That's what she said. Let's get through and have a look at his numbers, because in the past, you'd go, well, will he get me even 1 assist? And that's a fair criticism of what Duncan Robinson used to do. But this season, very different. Last season, 10% assist percentage. This season, 16%. That's a meaningful change. He's also playing, instead of 16 minutes, he's playing 29 minutes a game this season. He has jumped up to become, he's not a great passer, but imagine thinking that Duncan Robinson was in the 66th percentile for assist rate in the NBA, because he is. And this is one of the guys you'd think just play finisher, Sam Hauser style. No, he has changed a lot, and he's actually an option, but it also shows the dire state of assists off the waiver wire. You got Kyle Lowry in there as well, who's a pretty good option, and then you go to Kyle Anderson, whose value would rise a little bit if Ant is out. I don't know how much, because he's not going to take his position, but a little bit more playmaking there. And then we go to Ish Smith. I guess you could throw Nick Smith in there as well, but with LaMelo Ball back, the value of all of those other Hornets players has reduced. I would say that is fairly safe, or fairly safe to say, I would say. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are here, but that doesn't mean that it's too late to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. It used to be you got to place a $5 moneyline bet, then your team's got to... Nah, don't worry about any of that stuff. Don't worry about any of it. You just got to place a $5 bet, and they go, here you go, 150 bonus bets. And my number one question would be, FanDuel, why weren't you doing that before? But I also appreciate that you're doing it now. Now, of course, you could go in and check out all of the futures odds, the games odds, and I might be telling you now, this is before the Dolphins and the Chiefs play, and my Dolphins season is probably over, or we've won, and I'm going to be telling you how we're going to win the Super Bowl. You can check all of that stuff out over at FanDuel, including their parlays. They've got live same-game parlays. They've got parlays in the Parlay Hub, where you can parlay your knowledge into more parlays and follow other people's parlays, tail those parlays, and find more bets in the new Explore tab, which I'm sure also has parlays. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, what do we need to talk about now? Well, we did assists, so then let's carry on to talk about steals. And the number one man on this list is somehow Toumani Camara. Yeah, Toumani Camara, Belgian legend. The Waffle Man comes in at number 1. Andrew Nembhard at number 2 in terms of steals streaming. Camara is very clearly outplaying Matisse Thybulle at the moment. I still get people say, man, what do I do? Do I just hold on to Thybulle? No. No, what? No, he's a specialist only that is 100% not a 10 or 12 or probably 14 team league guy. He just isn't. Anyway, Camara, Nembhard, two very good steals guys. Thybulle is next. He can get him in bunches, and that's useful, but this is where he is. We're on a Sunday, I need some steals. So I'll stream Thybulle in, but he also might play 14 minutes. Jaden McDaniels, the guy that's going to play the most minutes out of everybody here, but we know that he can be a little bit lacking in sometimes the counting stats, but he does have the ability to get steals. You got Aaron Neesmith, who's been a pretty good steals and out of position blocks as well. Not out of position because he plays power forward a lot, although he's starting small forward at the moment. And then there is Caleb Martin there too. Steal rate has been pretty high this season. He's going to have to be relied upon quite a bit with the absence of Jimmy Butler and maybe Tyler Hero there for Miami. In terms of blocks, I need to do more work on this. Maybe this is an off-season topic for me. But when we're talking about streaming guys in, I think some of the time there's value in, like, this guy is a consistent player who might get you one block. Jaden McDaniels, 30 minutes a night, he might get you a block, right? There's a little bit in that. But when you're chasing, I'm in real strife here, what do I do? Is it, like, who are the guys that can go 7, who can get 4, who can get 3 blocks really easily? And that's where Isaiah Jackson comes in. Like Peyton Watson, for example, you feel good that he's going to get a steal on a block in 20 minutes. That's what he's going to do. But I don't feel that he's going to be able to bump me to 5 blocks. Whereas Jackson, so easily. It is so easy for him to bring chunks. It's also easy for him to play 9 minutes, have 5 fouls, and do nothing. And that's like that individual variance stuff, which is going to be one of the focuses of stuff that I work on through the offseason. So, if you didn't catch that, in terms of blocks, Isaiah Jackson's on that list. Peyton Watson's there. Nick Richards. Nick Richards falls a little bit into that McDaniels and Watson zone where it's like a 1 or 2. Very unlikely to be a big spike performance. I'm going to throw Bol in there because Bol is in the rotation now. I don't know whether Eubanks is going to play or not. Bol plays majority of his minutes at power forward, like about 65-70% of his minutes at power forward, but he has been still able to get those 2 blocks in his 16-17 minutes. Doesn't really have much in terms of minutes upside, but there is value in looking at Bol now that he is in the rotation for the time being. And then the other one there is this, again, it's a desperate day for streaming, mate. Nate Mensah, the genius himself. With PJ Washington not there, it's going to be all Richards and Mensah playing at center. Maybe a little bit of the God of Hammers, JT Thor, but Mensah might get you 1 or 2 as well. But it is a sad state of affairs when we're looking at streaming Bol and Mensah for blocks in even standard leagues. For field goal percentage is the next one we're looking at. This is percentage, also weighted with volume too. We're looking at Nicky Richards there because he's going to play probably almost the most minutes out of everyone, but also shoot a pretty high percentage. You've got Isaiah Jackson, Jaden McDaniels, Sticks is there, Boll is there, and then Daniel Tice as well, who seems to have that backup center job over the cockroach Mason Plumlee. For free throw percentage, Duncan Robinson's back here at the top. His teammate Josh Richardson is I think Richardson's at 93% from the line this season. Normie Powell, the Pencil Harrison Barnes, Barnesy, Kyle Lowry, and Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne could easily have 2 of 2, but we want to prioritize the higher volume guys, which is probably like a Powell, even though none of these are particularly high volume guys, but they're all maybe 90% players, which it is hard to find volume of free throws off the waiver wire. If we want to round this out by looking at some other categories, if you are looking at 3-point percentage, we have to go to Duncan Robinson. Assist to turnover ratio, I'm going to go with Reggie Jackson. And then there's an awful lot of Nick Richards here. For offensive rebounds, it is Big Dick Nick. For free throws made, Nick Richards actually projects to me to be the best guy who's likely available for free throws made. For field goals made, it's probably Jaden McDaniels. And then I chucked in another one here with effective field goal percentage. That's probably Nick Richards as well, who's able to provide the most influence in that category for the games on Sunday. Let's just end this by looking at the chunks Sunday through Thursday, understanding that Monday has 11 and Wednesday has 10 games. So we're going to eliminate those days from streaming. So how can we get value in? And I talked about this. The Kings have 2 games in week 13. So that means that Kings players and fringe Kings players are useless, right? Wrong. Totally wrong. Because from Sunday through to Thursday, the Kings have the best schedule in the NBA. After Thursday, they don't play. So you can move on. But if you're looking at Kings players, Harrison Barnes, Trey Lyles, if we know that Kevin Huerter is playing, well, he's there too. I'm not going to get super excited about old mate Chris Duarte, but maybe even in a deeper league, you look at an Alex Len, but him and JaVale sort of go back and forth as to who gets the minutes. But they play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. There's only 3 quality game days in the next 5 days, and they play on all of them, and they're the only team that does it. So you got Harrison Barnes, you got Trey Lyles, then you got a bunch of guys that play Sunday to Thursday. Jaden McDaniels, Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Smith, and Isaiah Jackson. And that's a pretty big gap. It is also worth remembering that even though that is a Sunday to Thursday gap is 4 days, there's only 1 day in there, which is Tuesday with 3 games on, which is not a high volume day. So just have a look at how you're going to be approaching your streaming strategy for that week before going, well, that's just a huge gap, because Monday and Wednesday, you're probably not going to be doing much that gets cracking stream-wise there. And that is the end of the show. To look ahead for Sunday in the NBA. Early start, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Get your lineup set, and once you've got your lineup set, come back here and give it a double bang. Thumb it up, leave your comments down below, subscribe, and of course, shout out to Anita Ward as you guys all come in and ring my bell. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.